Richard Vance crushed 6-year-old Nia Cole's drawing beneath his polished shoe, then tore her father's red maintenance notice in half. "Pick that up," he told Devin, dropping the pieces onto the marble floor. "That's the kind of work you're qualified for." The financial tower lobby fell silent. Devin Cole stood beside the disabled VIP elevator in oil-stained coveralls, holding the scorched speed control board he had removed minutes earlier. Behind the yellow barrier, Nia clutched her bent blue notebook against her chest. Her eyes searched her father's face, waiting to see whether he would fight back. Devin did not shout. He calmly repeated the warning Richard had already ignored twice. "The speed controller has failed. That elevator cannot carry passengers." Richard glanced at Devin's cracked Casio watch and laughed. "My meeting upstairs is worth more than you'll earn in your entire life. Put the board back." "No, sir." The answer wiped the smile from Richard's face. In front of his employees, he pointed at Devin and said, "You're a man with a wrench. I'm the reason men like you have jobs." Then Richard pulled out his black executive card, stepped over the barrier, and entered the glass cabin. His assistant begged him to use another elevator. Devin ordered him to step out. Even Nia whispered, "Please listen to my daddy." Richard looked directly at the little girl as he pressed the card against the override reader. "Your father needs to learn who gives the orders." The doors closed. The cabin shot upward. At the 40th floor, the safety brakes struck with a violent metallic scream. Richard's briefcase slammed into the ceiling. The lights turned blood red, and the glass elevator stopped between floors. Richard began pounding on the doors. "Get me out! Restart it now!" Devin picked up the intercom without changing his expression. "You activated a locked-out elevator after 3 recorded warnings. Federal safety procedure now requires city rescue. Estimated extraction time, 45 minutes. I'll have you fired." Devin looked at the system log. One line glowed across the screen. Administrative bypass. Richard Vance. Beside him, Nia quietly asked, "Daddy, did the elevator remember what he did?" Devin placed one protective hand over hers. "Yes, sweetheart, it remembered everything." How much would Richard lose before those glass doors opened, and what would happen when the city inspector discovered who had really forced the elevator to move? Subscribe if you believe no expensive suit should place a man above the rules designed to keep him alive. That morning, Devin had promised his daughter one simple thing. No matter what happened at the tower, he would be waiting outside her school before the final bell. At 6:10, Devin stood in the narrow kitchen of their Baltimore row house, cutting toast into squares, while Nia sat at the table drawing an elevator with wings. She believed elevators became tired because they carried too many worried people. Devin had told her machines did not get tired in the human sense, but they did give warnings when something was wrong. Nia had considered that carefully, then drawn speech bubbles beside every elevator door. "This one says, 'Please let me rest,'" she explained. "Smart elevator," Devin said. "This one says, 'Stop pushing all my buttons.' Even smarter." The third speech bubble was unfinished because Nia had lost her blue crayon. Devin found it beneath the refrigerator, wiped dust from it, and returned it without making a ceremony of the rescue. Their mornings worked that way. Small problems, calm hands, one thing at a time. 3 years after Camille died, Devin had learned to braid Nia's hair, pack the right snacks, and make difficult mornings gentler. Grief had not left their home, but it no longer ran every room. That Wednesday, Nia's school opened 2 hours late for a water main repair. Devin's older sister was supposed to meet him at Meridian Crown Tower at 8:30 and take Nia to school, but a stalled bus had trapped her across downtown. Devin could not postpone the inspection waiting at the tower. A vibration alarm from the VIP elevator had triggered twice overnight, and the morning traffic load would begin before 9. So Nia came with him under strict rules. She wore a mustard yellow cardigan over a white school shirt, dark jeans, and red canvas sneakers. Her shoulder-length box braids ended in small blue beads that clicked softly when she nodded. She would remain at the staff security desk, behind the public barrier, with her blue drawing notebook and lunch bag. She would not enter the work zone. She would not touch a tool. She would listen the first time. "Same rules as the shop," she said, reciting them. "Exactly." She pointed to his watch. "And pick up at 3:15. Devin looked at the old Casio Camille had given him when he completed his apprenticeship. Its resin band had been replaced twice, and one corner of the face was scratched white. It lost 4 seconds a month. Devin corrected it on the first Sunday of every month, because precision was a form of respect. I'll be there before the bell. Devin had spent 18 years working on vertical transportation systems. He held a Maryland elevator mechanic license, advanced certification on variable frequency drives, and a reputation for shutting equipment down when other people wanted a convenient answer. He was not dramatic about risk. He did not call every worn component a disaster. That was why supervisors listened when he did say a car had to stop. At 7:12, remote monitoring reported that Elevator 1's drive current and speed feedback had briefly disagreed. The mismatch suggested a failing interface on the main control board. Under load, the elevator could lose reliable position information and stop violently. Facilities Director Owen Price approved a shutdown in writing. A tested board would arrive by 10:30. Devin would install it, run the empty car, and complete a witness safety check. Without interference, service would return before lunch. At 8:23, Devin and Nia entered Meridian Crown Tower through the service entrance. The 50-story financial tower rose above Baltimore's harbor in green-tinted glass. The lobby looked designed to make ordinary footsteps feel too loud. White stone floors, brushed brass walls, a 20-foot digital market display, and 3 glass elevator shafts climbing through the atrium like clear veins. Nia stared upward. That's too many floors. Only if you take the stairs. Maya Chen, the morning security supervisor, greeted Devin by name. She had seen his work for 6 years and knew he never brought a child into a restricted area. Devin explained the school delay. Maya placed a chair behind her desk where Nia could draw in full view, then gave her a visitor sticker shaped like a shield. "You're in charge of the blue crayons," Maya said. Nia accepted the responsibility solemnly. By 8:31, Devin had placed Elevator 1 in inspection mode, isolated normal hall calls, posted a red out-of-service notice on the doors, extended 2 yellow barriers across the entrance, and applied his personal lock to the control cabinet. He photographed every step. Owen countersigned the electronic work order from the mechanical room. The tower still had 5 passenger elevators operating. They were busy, but no one was stranded. When Devin opened the controller, the smell reached him first. Warm resin, faint and bitter. He checked the terminals with a meter, verified stored energy had discharged, and removed the speed control board. Near one connector, the laminate had darkened. A cracked solder joint sat beneath the discoloration, small enough to miss unless the light struck it sideways. Devin photographed it beside the serial number and called Owen. "The board has failed. Elevator 1 stays locked until the replacement is installed and tested." "Understood," Owen said. "I'm sending the shutdown notice to executive services now." Devin placed the board in a gray anti-static bag, then inside a hard plastic evidence case. He was labeling the case when the lobby changed around him. Security officers straightened. The receptionist lowered her voice. 3 assistants moved toward the revolving doors at once. Richard Vance entered at 8:44. He was 52, silver-haired, and dressed in a precise charcoal suit. He was chief executive of Vance Meridian Capital, the tower's anchor tenant and largest investor. A younger attorney hurried behind him. His assistant, Claire Benton, carried a red contract folder. Richard's 9 o'clock meeting had taken 6 months to arrange. Representatives of North Channel Pension Trust were waiting on the 50th floor to approve a major infrastructure fund. The contract was valuable. More important to Richard, the signing would be photographed. He had built the morning around an entrance. He reached the elevator bank and saw a line at the regular cars. Then he saw Elevator 1 behind the barriers. "Open the VIP car," he told Maya. Maya glanced toward Devin. "It's under licensed maintenance, Mr. Vance." Richard did not look at her again. He stepped around the first barrier and stopped in front of Devin. His gaze moved from the oil smudge on Devin's coveralls to his repaired work boots, then to the old Casio on his wrist. It was not the look of a man evaluating information. It was the look of a man deciding how little the speaker mattered. "How long?" Richard asked. "Replacement board arrives around 10:30, then testing." Richard checked his own watch, a thin gold piece under a white cuff. "I asked how long until I can use it." "After installation and a witness safety test," Not before. Richard looked past him at the open controller. It has power. Some control circuits are energized for diagnostics, the propulsion system is locked out, and the primary speed board is removed. Devin lifted the case slightly. This is the failed board. The car cannot provide normal position control without it. Claire spoke quietly. Richard, the West Bank says 4 minutes. I don't have 4 minutes. It was his first chance to stop. 4 minutes. 5 functioning cars, a meeting, 1 express ride away. But people were watching, and Richard had already issued an order. To step into the public line now would feel to him like accepting correction from a man whose name was stitched onto stained coveralls. Put it back, he said. Devin's expression did not change. The board has a heat-damaged connector and a fractured joint. Reinstalling it would violate the shutdown order. Then bypass it. No. The word was quiet. It did not ask permission. Richard's attorney stopped looking at his phone. Claire's grip tightened on the red folder. 2 people in the passenger line turned toward them. Richard leaned closer. You are a contractor in my lobby. I'm the mechanic responsible for this unit while it is locked out. You turn screws for people who make decisions. Do not confuse proximity to a machine with authority over me. Behind the security desk, Nia had stopped drawing. Devin saw it without turning his head. Her blue crayon hovered above the page. He had promised Camille, and later himself, that Nia would never have to study his face to learn whether the room was safe. He kept his shoulders loose. This isn't about authority over you, Devin said. It's about authority over the elevator. It is out of service. Richard looked toward Nia. Is that your child? She is waiting with security until my sister arrives. So you brought a child to a critical repair, delayed executive service, and now you're lecturing me about procedure. Richard raised his voice enough for the line to hear. This is why companies replace people like you with remote systems. Machines don't arrive with excuses. Nia's chin dropped. 1 blue bead clicked against another. Devin set the board case down gently. My daughter is behind the safety boundary. The repair began on schedule. The shutdown is documented. Please use another elevator. Richard smiled, but there was no humor in it. Please, that's better. Now we understand who gives instructions. Maya stepped out from the desk. Mr. Vance, I need you to remain outside the barrier. Richard turned on her. Call building operations. They approved the shutdown, Devin said. Call them. Maya did. Owen answered on speaker from the basement mechanical room. He confirmed that Elevator 1 had been formally removed from service after a drive fault, that Devin was the mechanic of record, and that no executive schedule could change the lockout. That was Richard's second chance to stop. The facilities director had confirmed the warning. The other elevators continued arriving. 1 opened less than 30 feet away. Claire touched Richard's elbow. We can take that one now. Richard pulled his arm away. Owen, who pays your operating budget? There was a pause. The building ownership group. And who leads its largest capital partner? That doesn't alter the safety code. It alters whether you have a job by lunch. Richard ended the call. The threat changed the lobby. People who had been curious became still. Maya glanced at the nearest camera. Devin saw Claire close her eyes for half a second. Richard reached for the red maintenance sign. Devin placed one open hand between Richard and the barrier without touching him. Do not remove that notice. Or what? The camera will record you removing a safety control after 2 verbal warnings and 1 written shutdown. Richard looked up at the black dome camera above the elevator. Then he looked directly into it and tore the sign from its stand. The paper ripped across the center. He dropped both halves at Devin's boots. Nia gasped. Her drawing notebook slipped from her lap and landed open on the marble. The elevator with wings stared upward from the page. Richard's shoe came down on one corner as he stepped through the barrier. Nia darted forward on instinct, but Maya caught her gently at the shoulders before she crossed the line. My picture, Nia said. Devin picked up the notebook and handed it back across the barrier. A gray print marked the lower corner. He crouched so his eyes were level with hers. The picture is safe. Stay with Miss Chen. He broke the sign. I saw. Is he allowed? Devin looked at Richard, who was taking a black metal card from his wallet. No. Richard held the card to a concealed executive reader beside the call panel. The screen woke and displayed administrative service access. Vance Meridian executives used the credential during escorted events, but the card was never meant to defeat a mechanical lockout. Months earlier, at Richard's insistence, a software vendor had added a limited evacuation command that could summon a card during certain security incidents. The command was supposed to reject any unit under mechanic control, but Elevator 1's modernization was incomplete. With the main board absent, Richard's credential could still energize a separate emergency relay, close the doors, and command a limited upward run. The panel chimed. Devin's eyes moved to the service display. "Step out of the cabin." Richard smiled. "Seems the machine understands management. The system is not in passenger mode. Step out now." Claire stayed outside. So did the attorney. Richard entered alone, holding his briefcase and the red contract folder he had taken from Claire. He pressed 50. Nothing happened. He held the black card against the panel again. "Richard," Claire said, "please don't." For the third time, he could have stopped. Devin was within arm's reach. The doors were open. 3 different people had told him no. Richard pressed the command marked Executive Priority. The doors began to close. Devin did not put his body between moving panels. He hit the external emergency stop. The button should have canceled the service command. Instead, the display flashed Remote Priority Active. Devin struck the stop a second time and shouted, "Do not move inside the car. Hold the rail." Richard's last expression before the doors met was satisfaction. Then the glass cabin rose. It moved slowly for the first 2 floors, faster than inspection mode should permit. Devin ran to the controller display. Without the removed board, the system estimated position from a secondary emergency sensor. The estimate drifted, corrected, then drifted again. "Maya, clear the atrium beneath the shaft," Devin said. "Call City Rescue and the elevator inspector. Tell them occupied car, unauthorized administrative activation, position feedback fault." Maya moved instantly. Security officers guided people away from the glass shaft. Claire began crying without sound, one hand over her mouth. Nia stood behind the desk clutching her notebook. "Daddy," Devin looked at her, "I'm right here." "Is it falling?" "No, the safety system is watching it." Elevator safety did not depend on one computer. Independent devices measured speed, gripped the rails, and limited travel. Devin trusted those layers because he had tested them. He did not know how violently they would intervene. At floor 28, the mismatch widened. The service display changed from amber to red. Richard's voice came through the intercom. "Why is this thing so slow?" Devin lifted the microphone. "Mr. Vance, stand against the rear wall, hold the rail, and do not jump or force the doors. Get me to 50. The elevator is not under normal control. Then take control. You bypassed the lockout with your card. I cannot restore a missing safety board from the lobby." There was silence for 2 seconds. Then Richard said, "You let me enter." Claire stared at the speaker. Maya's head snapped toward it. Devin's face remained still. "The video and access log will show 3 warnings, the removed notice, and your credential command. Hold the rail." The car reached floor 39. The secondary sensor dropped 2 pulses. The controller interpreted the loss as unintended motion. Power cut. The machine brake closed. A fraction of a second later, the independent safety circuit confirmed the stop. The glass elevator halted between 40 and 41, with a metallic shriek that echoed through the atrium. Nia covered her ears. Claire screamed. Richard's briefcase rose from his hand and struck the ceiling. Papers burst through the cabin like white birds, then fell around him. His shoulder hit the mirrored wall. He remained standing only because one hand had found the rail. The lights went dark, returned red, and settled into emergency mode. Devin watched the brake indicators. Both channels showed engaged. The governor showed normal. The car was secured. He let out one breath. "Car is stopped. Safeties are holding." Maya repeated the information to emergency dispatch. Claire asked if Richard was alive. Devin keyed the intercom. "Mr. Vance, answer me. Are you injured?" A groan came through the speaker. Then, "My shoulder. Any head impact? Any bleeding? Can you move your fingers?" "Get me out." "Answer the questions." Richard swore, then said he could move his hand and did not think he had hit his head. Devin told him to sit against the rear wall, keep pressure off the shoulder, and wait for rescue. He asked Maya to request paramedics with the fire crew. Only after the immediate checks were complete did Devin look at his watch. 8:55. Inside the cabin, Richard looked at his own. The camera showed the moment he understood. His meeting would begin in 5 minutes. His phone had no reliable signal inside the shaft. He jabbed the call button again. "Put me through to Claire." Devin transferred the intercom. "Move the meeting," Richard ordered. Claire looked toward the 50th floor indicator. The pension trustees arrived early. "They're already in the room." "Tell them there's a security incident." Devin said nothing. Maya said nothing. But the building system had already sent an automated safety alert to tenant administrators. Elevator 1. Unauthorized priority command. Occupied car stop. The notice included the credential holder's name because Richard had demanded executive commands be attributable after a junior employee once delayed his private car. Claire read the message on her phone. Her face changed. "They received the incident alert," she said. "Then tell them it's a technical malfunction." Devin looked at the log. "Do not ask her to make a false statement while the safety call is being recorded." Richard struck the cabin wall. "This is your malfunction. The component failure is mine to repair. The unauthorized activation is yours to explain. You work for me." "No. I work under a state license. Right now that license requires me to protect the trapped passenger, preserve the logs, and wait for authorized rescue." "Restart it." "The primary control board is in my hand. Use the backup." "The backup stopped you because it could no longer verify position. That is what it was designed to do." At 9 o'clock, the market display changed with a soft musical tone. Richard's contract meeting began without him. He shouted for a manual release. Devin explained that opening doors between floors without securing and leveling the car could turn a contained incident into a fatal one. Fire rescue would access the machinery space, apply independent restraints, and either lower the car to 40 or remove Richard through the upper hatch. The estimated arrival was 20 minutes. Stabilization and extraction could take another 30. 50 minutes? Richard said. Possibly longer. I can lose $200 million in 50 minutes. Devin glanced toward Nia. She was rubbing the shoe mark from her drawing with her sleeve. Then you should have taken the 4-minute elevator. The lobby went silent. Richard's face on the monitor tightened. For a moment, Devin expected another threat. Instead, Richard turned toward the glass wall and saw the atrium below him. From 40 floors up, the people looked small. He had spent years arranging rooms, so everyone else had to look up at him. Now the entire tower could see him suspended in a red-lit box, unable to make a single system obey. At 9:04, Owen Price arrived from the mechanical room carrying the signed shutdown order. Richard demanded that Owen fire Devin immediately. Owen placed the document beside the console and read the access log before answering. "Devin followed my written instruction," he said. "Your credential energized the car after lockout. Your software allowed it. Software your office required us to install over the modernization team's objection." Claire looked at him. "What objection?" Owen opened an archived email on his tablet. 6 months earlier, the elevator consultant had warned that executive priority service should never be allowed to interact with inspection or maintenance states. Richard had replied that a chief executive could not be hostage to a technician's key. He ordered the vendor to preserve the override and threatened to withhold payment. The email ended with his typed instruction, "Make the card final." Maya photographed Owen's screen as part of the incident record. Richard watched from the cabin camera. "That correspondence is privileged," he said. The attorney who had arrived with him finally spoke. "It is not privileged. It is an operational email to a contractor." Richard stared at him. "Whose side are you on?" The attorney's answer was careful. "The side that does not alter evidence during an active life safety investigation." At 9:10, the North Channel delegation sent Claire a message. They had reviewed the building alert and would postpone the signing pending an explanation. Richard demanded that Claire tell them the mechanic had caused the event. Claire looked at Devin, then at Nia, then at the 2 torn pieces of the maintenance sign still lying on the floor. "I watched you remove the barrier," she said. "I warned you not to enter." "Claire, I will tell them the truth." Richard struck the emergency button until the speaker distorted. Devin muted the cabin microphone for 10 seconds, not to punish him, but to hear the radio. City Fire Rescue was 3 blocks away. Elevator Inspector Elena Ruiz was responding from a nearby site. Devin unmuted the line and gave Richard the update. Nia approached the edge of the security desk, but stayed behind the barrier. "Daddy, Aunt Renee is here." Renee hurried through the service entrance, breathless and apologizing. She stopped when she saw the red-lit cabin high above the lobby. "What happened?" Nia held up her notebook. "The man used the card after Daddy said no 3 times. Devin looked at her. "How do you know it was 3? "I counted because you say warnings matter." Her answer struck him harder than Richard's insults had. Nia had not merely watched a frightening scene. She had been studying how he responded to it. Every quiet word had taught her something. So had every word he chose not to say. Renee offered to take Nia away immediately. Devin knelt beside his daughter. "You can go to school now. I'll be there at 3:15. Nia looked up the shaft. "Are you staying to help him?" "Yes. Even though he stepped on my picture? Especially now. Being safe isn't a prize for people who are nice." Nia thought about that, then tore a clean page from the back of her notebook. She drew a quick blue rectangle and handed it to Devin. Inside it, a stick figure sat on the floor of an elevator. Above the car she wrote, "Wait for help." "Tell him," she said. Devin folded the page and put it in his chest pocket. "I will." Before leaving, Nia turned to Maya. "The camera saw the sign, right?" "Every second," Maya said. Nia nodded, satisfied that the truth had somewhere safe to live, and took Renee's hand. Fire Rescue entered the lobby at 9:16. Lieutenant Sam Holloway took command of the extraction. Devin did not argue for control or perform expertise for the crowd. He gave a concise handoff: car position, brake status, governor reading, missing primary board, administrative activation path, passenger condition, and lockout points. Holloway repeated the critical details back. Then the rescue team moved to the machinery space. Inspector Elena Ruiz arrived 4 minutes later in a Navy State jacket, carrying a sealed tablet and body camera. She had inspected Devin's work on 6 previous projects. She did not greet him as a friend. She treated the lobby as an evidence scene. "Who is mechanic of record?" "I am," Devin said. "Who ordered the shutdown?" Owen handed her the signed work order. "Who activated the car?" Devin pointed to the access log without interpretation. Elena read it. "Preserve the controller, no resets, no software changes, nobody removes that board from the site." Richard's voice came through the speaker. "Inspector, I am Richard Vance. I authorize whatever action is necessary to get me out immediately." Elena pressed the intercom key. "Mr. Vance, City Rescue controls the extraction. Your title does not change the procedure." For the first time that morning, Richard had no answer ready. Elena reviewed Devin's photographs. The first showed the red maintenance notice in place at 8:31. The second showed his personal lock and tag. The third showed the failed board serial number and heat damage. A timestamp video showed Owen confirming the shutdown. Security footage showed Richard crossing the barrier, tearing the notice, stepping on Nia's notebook, ignoring Claire, and applying his card. Then Elena found something more important. The control system stored 2 parallel event histories, an ordinary operational log accessible to building management, and an immutable safety log inside a sealed recorder. The first could be viewed by administrators. The second could be extracted only by an inspector after a serious incident. She connected her tablet and downloaded the sealed record. It showed Devin's stop command reaching the controller before the car moved. It showed the executive priority relay ignoring that command for 6.2 seconds. It showed the car rising on secondary feedback. It showed the safety circuit detecting position uncertainty and applying the brake exactly as designed. There was no ambiguity. Devin had tried to stop the car. Richard's credential had defeated the command. At 9:32, Elena looked directly into the cabin camera. "Mr. Vance, the preliminary record confirms that the elevator was properly removed from service. Your administrative credential initiated movement against an active stop input. Do not state that the mechanic allowed this car to run." Richard's eyes moved toward the camera. "I was told the system could operate." "By whom?" He did not answer. Owen held up the archived email. Elena read the line, "Make the card final," then requested a copy for the investigation. Richard's public mask finally cracked. He accused the building staff of incompetence, the vendor of faulty design, Claire of disloyalty, and Devin of setting a trap. Each accusation created another witness. Each threat entered another recording. Devin listened without responding until Richard said Nia should never have been in the building. Then Devin pressed the intercom. My daughter was in a staffed public area outside the barrier. Do not use her to move responsibility away from your decision. You embarrassed me in front of her. You did that yourself. The words were not loud. They ended the argument because there was nowhere left for it to go. At 9:40, rescue secured the car with an independent hoist and lowered it carefully until its floor aligned with level 40. Firefighters opened the doors and bridged the remaining gap. Richard stepped out at 9:51. The security camera on 40 captured a different man from the one who had entered the lobby. His suit jacket hung crooked. Papers clung to one polished shoe. His silver hair was damp against his forehead, and his right arm was supported in a sling. Paramedics examined him and found a bruised shoulder but no fracture. He refused the wheelchair until Elena informed him that the service corridor cameras were recording and that walking away from a medical assessment would also be documented. He sat. The elevator remained sealed. The meeting remained postponed. North Channel's trustees left the building without signing. Richard returned to the lobby under escort at 10:12. By then, Nia was at school. Her chair behind the security desk was empty, but the torn maintenance sign remained where it had fallen, marked with evidence tabs. Richard saw Devin beside the controller and changed direction toward him. You cost this company a fortune. Elena stepped between them. Mr. Vance, do not interfere with the mechanic or the evidence. He stood there and let me lose the deal. Devin closed the lid of his tool case. I stood there and helped bring you out alive. Richard laughed once, bitterly. You expect thanks? No. Then what do you want? Devin looked at the torn sign. For the next warning to be enough. That afternoon, Meridian Crown's board reviewed the sealed record, security video, vendor warnings, and Richard's email ordering that his card be made final. Richard blamed the vendor, then Owen. Documents answered both claims. The board placed him on leave, suspended his access, and appointed an interim executive. The investment deal survived under new oversight, but Richard no longer led it. The city issued a civil citation and referred the bypass to the state elevator board. Devin's procedure was examined too. He cooperated fully and helped Elena design a hardwired barrier that no executive command could defeat. 12 related buildings adopted it, along with tamper alarms and written authority for staff to deny unsafe orders. It was a small system change, but a real one. At 3:08, Devin parked outside Nia's elementary school. He had changed into a clean gray work shirt, but still smelled faintly of machine oil. The old Casio showed 7 minutes before the bell. When Nia emerged, she ran past the other parents and wrapped both arms around his waist. Devin winced because she collided with the tool pouch he had forgotten to remove, then lifted her anyway. You came before the bell, she said. I said I would. Did the man get out? He did. Did he say sorry? No. Nia considered this with the grave disappointment only a 6-year-old could give an adult. Did you still help him? Yes. They walked to the truck. Nia climbed into her booster seat and opened the blue notebook. The shoe mark remained on the corner of the elevator drawing. She had added a new speech bubble during class. Devin read it while fastening her seatbelt. The winged elevator now said, "Listen before I have to shout." Devin smiled. That's a good rule. For elevators or people. He looked at his daughter, at the blue beads Camille had once chosen, at the child who had counted every warning because she needed to know whether calm could be stronger than power. Both. Weeks later, Richard resigned after investigators confirmed he had preserved the override and misstated the incident. He faced fines and mandatory safety training, not theatrical ruin. Claire testified in the review. Owen kept his job, and Maya was commended for protecting the public and the evidence. Devin refused an executive title the owners offered in the embarrassment that followed. He accepted a narrower role leading the elevator safety audit because it matched what he actually knew. The raise helped, so did the predictable schedule. But the part he cared about was a new line printed at the top of every maintenance order: no commercial or executive priority overrides a life safety lockout. One Friday, Elena invited Devin and Nia to see the repaired Elevator 1 return to service. The failed board sat sealed in an evidence cabinet. The black executive card had been deactivated. A new hardwired indicator glowed above the controller. Maintenance isolation active. Nia stood outside the barrier, while Devin performed the final test. The glass car traveled empty to 50, descended, stopped level, and opened with a soft chime. "Is it safe now?" she asked. Devin checked the readings once more before answering. "It's safer. Safe is something people keep doing." Elena signed the certificate. Maya removed the barrier. Nia entered the cabin holding Devin's hand, and together they rode to the observation floor. Baltimore spread beneath them in squares of brick, water, and late afternoon light. The tower no longer looked like a place built for important people. From that height, every car and roof appeared equally small. Nia pressed the button for the lobby. "Daddy? Yes?" "Why did Mr. Vance think his card was stronger than you?" Devin watched the floor numbers descend. He thought being able to command something meant he understood it. But he didn't. "No, you did." Devin shook his head. "I understood enough to listen when the system said stop." The doors opened. Nia skipped into the lobby, her blue beads clicking, her marked drawing tucked safely beneath one arm. Devin followed at an ordinary pace. He did not need Richard's office, Richard's card, or Richard's ruined entrance. He had kept a passenger alive, told the truth exactly once, and arrived before the school bell. Power had entered the elevator wearing a tailored suit and believing every boundary could be negotiated. Responsibility had remained outside in oil-stained coveralls, holding a broken circuit board and refusing to trade safety for speed. In the end, the machine had not chosen between a chief executive and a mechanic. It had simply recorded which man listened.